I'm going to split this video into 4 sections. When to go to the net, volleys, overheads, and drop shots, all based around singles. Section 1, when to go to the net. There are 2 ways you can get to the net. The first way is rushing the net. This is where you can see your opponent is far away from the ball and they have an open racket face before they hit it. And they will be hitting the ball up and defending. Like I said, you must see it before they hit the ball. As soon as you do see it, that's when you can sprint forwards as fast as you can. This is one of the only times in tennis you might not do a full and complete split step, and you're going to be looking to play some sort of volley, swing volley, or overhead, depending on the ball that you receive. The second way to get to the net is when they have hit you a short enough ball that you can approach the net. This is where players start to go massively wrong. Players are so good now at being counter-offensive off of both sides. You must make sure that you have them under a massive amount of pressure when you're approaching. Otherwise, they're gonna pass you. Or they'll give you a very difficult shot and then they'll pass you on the next shot. The single most important part here is to be very, very clearly closer to the service line than the baseline when you hit your approach shot. This is important for 2 reasons. The first one being your approach shot will be more effective and offensive the closer you are. And the second being you have less distance to cover to get to the net after you've hit your approach shot. It's also incredibly important that most of the time you hit your approach shot to their backhand side, even if their backhand is better than their forehand. This is because you cannot reach as far on your backhand side as you can your forehand side, not without completely turning your back to the court. But you do also need to make sure that you're keeping them guessing. You only need to do something roughly 20% of the time to create doubt in someone's mind, depending on their intelligence. The more intelligent they are, the more you might have to mix it up, so maybe 65-35. The less intelligent they are, the more you can just hit to their backhand and that's it. Section 2, volleys. I keep this very simple. I do not recommend putting yourself in a position where you need to make a volley from the service line. Like I mentioned in the previous section, players are just too good at being counter-offensive. So if you do not have them under a lot of pressure, you're gonna be in big trouble. So unless you already have them under a lot of pressure, I think it's very difficult to put someone under a lot of pressure when volleying from the service line. Unless you rush the net, like I mentioned in the previous section, that would be an exception. So ideally, you are volleying from halfway between the service line and the net. Most of the time, just volley across your body for a short angle. That's it. So you either hit to the space or you go back behind. And to be clear, I don't mean a drop volley. We want the ball traveling near the service line, but it breaks the single sideline. This eliminates any decision making when you don't have much time. And volleying across your body is one of the easiest volleys to execute. This has worked at every single level that I have done this at, including professionals. Section 3, overheads. Not all overheads are offensive. Just like almost every other shot in tennis, you have offensive, rally, and defensive overheads. Where a lot of players run into trouble is that they think all overheads are offensive, and then they try to be offensive on an overhead that is probably more of a rally or even a defensive overhead. Again, I like to keep things as simple as possible. If you are here, that is an offensive overhead. If you are roughly on or behind the service line, that is more of a rally overhead. If you're starting to get really far behind the service line, you're in the middle of no man's land, that is a defensive overhead that you should just be tapping back in the court. Just changing your mindset in this area can massively help your overheads. Section 4, drop shots. All tactical decisions need to be based off of where you are, where they are, and the ball you have. When you want to play a drop shot, you need to be well inside the baseline. They need to be well behind the baseline, preferably on one side or the other. And you need to have a slow ball that's between waist and shoulder height and doesn't have much spin. Where players go wrong is that they try to play a drop shot when they only have one or two of all three of those things. So they might be inside the court, but maybe so is their opponent. And also maybe they don't have that much of an easy ball. Or they are outside the court, so is their opponent, and they have an easy ball. There are many combinations. Be patient enough to get all three happening at the same time. I also mostly recommend doing a wrong foot drop shot. So if your opponent is on this side, you drop shot to the same side. What this does is breaks their running momentum a little bit if they have anticipated your drop shot well. And I also recommend drop shotting with a good amount of height and a normal amount of spin, just so the ball can land shorter. If you want to improve tactically on the tennis court, subscribe and comment tennis to work with me one-on-one.